A decorated combat veteran and former intelligence officer walked to a microphone inside the United States Capitol, looked directly at the assembled press, and said the American government has been operating a covert, non-human intelligence retrieval program for decades. Not as a theory, not as a rumor, as a sworn, documented, on-the-record allegation, backed by a formal Inspector General complaint, already deemed credible and urgent by the intelligence community's own watchdog. That moment happened. And what came next was not what anyone predicted. Before we get to what was actually said inside that room in June of this year, there is one detail buried in the supporting documents. A specific claim about the chain of custody for retrieved materials that most outlets have still not fully reported. Sit with that, because by the time we reach the end of this story, you are going to want to know who specifically was responsible for keeping that chain intact, and whether they still are. David Grusch is not a fringe figure. Let that settle in. He served as a combat officer in Afghanistan. He worked as the representative of the National Reconnaissance Office on the Department of Defense's UAP task force. He was, by every institutional measure, a trusted insider. A man cleared for the most sensitive programs the United States government runs. That is not a background the government can easily dismiss, and they knew it. In 2023, Grusch filed a whistleblower complaint with the Intelligence Community Inspector General. The IG reviewed it and formally determined it was credible and urgent, both, which under federal statute required notification to congressional intelligence committees. That finding was not leaked. It was procedurally required, and yet the public learned almost nothing about the substance of what Grusch had actually alleged. That detail changes everything, because what Grusch alleged was not lights in the sky. He alleged the existence of a multi-generational program to retrieve and reverse engineer craft of non-human origin. He named the program as operating outside normal congressional oversight channels, funded through what he described as misappropriated black budget resources. He alleged that individuals who attempted to report this program through legitimate channels faced consequences. Careers ended, security clearances pulled, silence enforced, gone, just like that. And then something changed. In the summer of that year, Grusch did not limit himself to closed sessions. First came the public press event, flanked by members of Congress from both parties, where he made those allegations on camera for the first time. Then, on July 26th, he did something even more consequential. He sat before the House Oversight Subcommittee and made those same allegations under oath, with documentation his legal team indicated was being preserved and made available through appropriate oversight channels. The bipartisan presence was not incidental. It was deliberate, a signal that this had moved beyond the category of political theater. Nobody expected what came next. In the days that followed, the Department of Defense released a statement that neither confirmed nor denied the specific program Grusch referenced, and the precise wording of that statement matters, which, to anyone trained in reading official non-denial language, was a confirmation of a kind. They did not say the program does not exist. They said they had no evidence of programs involving non-human intelligence that had not been reported to Congress. Those are two very different sentences. This is where the case breaks open. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARO, had already produced its own historical review. That review concluded it found no verifiable evidence of concealed UAP programs. Grusch's legal team responded by noting that RO investigators were denied access to the specific compartmented programs Grusch referenced. You cannot find what you are not permitted to look for. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is a procedural reality of how classified compartments work in the United States intelligence architecture. And this is the part nobody talks about. The Inspector General's original credibility finding was made before the June press conference, before the cameras, before the congressional members stood beside him. That finding was made by the government's own oversight mechanism, operating inside the system, using the system's own standards. The government, in other words, validated Grusch before Grusch went public. Remember what I said at the start. A decorated intelligence officer walked to a microphone and made a sworn, documented allegation. The question was never really whether Grusch believed what he was saying. The Inspector General already answered that. The question, the one that still has no clean answer, the one that this press conference forced into the public record and cannot now be walked back, is this. If the program exists, as Grusch describes, who gave the order to keep it from Congress? Who? And are they still in a position to do so?